I don't know what I like more about that intro, the music, the graphics. The graphic of you, George, cracks me up every time. But Homeless Jason.
Really hold on a second. Campy, my man, you're getting the golf clap on that one, brother.
Yeah.
That is absolutely that is stuff of gods right there. Thank you so much.
You are the man. Campy, you are the man. Yes, we love it. Welcome back. Yeehaw and howdy to you all. It's another Blitz Trading Post week. I got my guys with me. I got my man George Reed on my right. What's happening, George? How we doing this evening?
Man, it's great to be back on one of these shows. I feel like I've taken like 3 weeks off of doing any podcast, so it's actually nice to be able to sit down and jump back on one.
You were about ready to become Homeless George with Homeless
Jason. I was. I was actually going to call him, see if I can move in with him.
That's awesome. And then down below me, I got a new father, man. What's up? We got congratulations to throw to this man right here. What is happening, Joe? Congratulations on that new baby, beautiful girl.
Yes, we well, thank you very much. And you know, as we know, we copied and how does this work? Look at that. There we go.
Oh, congratulations, man.
That's Lily. We copied some name in there, Mikey. Sorry about that.
It's a good name, you know.
Good name.
And it's crazy how much me and you have in common. And now we even have a late child in our 40s with the same name.
Yes. And you had mentioned that name before, but based on things that are legal in Massachusetts these days, I had forgotten that. So I definitely did not remember until after the fact. So
that definitely happens.
Glad to be back. I missed last week, but thanks for holding down the fort, and I'm ready to rock and roll here.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a much interesting being there all by myself. We got our man Nino, we got our man Rich in the background saying what's happening. You definitely give those guys a shout out. Guys, you know the drill. Anytime you want to do anything with us, please just go do that 5-second thing. Go like us, go subscribe to us. Go leave us a 5-star review. Even if it's a bad review, throw us a 5-star and then let us know what you want us to change. We'll change it for you. You don't got to be a dick. You don't got to put a whole bunch of things down on a 1-star and make it like put that stuff on a 5-star. We don't care about that part. That's great. But it just helps the show out a ton if you guys could just go out there and do that. Make sure you're subscribing. We are so close to 500 subscribers. I think we're like 7 away. So get on there. I believe the 500th gets a free Frankensteak from Rich, if I remember correctly, if I was listening correctly. So, and again, the Patreon, get on there, get on the Discord. We have a lot of fun on there, especially get in there during the draft time. You're going to want to put a lot of us in your pocket. And then we're even going to be doing some shows on some of y'all's lineup if you guys want to get in on that Patreon as well. So with that, with all the fun introductions, 10, 20 minutes into the show, we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. What we're talking about this week and what we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks is the division by division breakdown. And we're going to go over the teams, the players that are on these teams that we're kind of gunning for. Possibly, oh, yes, that's Rich Gonzalez saying, yep, that the 500th subscriber gets that free Frankensteak entry. So you're not going to want to miss that. I mean, what does it take to subscribe to a YouTube channel? Like 3 seconds?
2 seconds. But what Rich doesn't know, and I'm hoping he's not watching, once we hit $4.99, I'm going to unsubscribe. And then when we hit $4.99 again, I'm going to hit subscribe.
Dude,
I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it unless somebody beats me to it.
And it's funny you said, I hope he's not listening, and Rich is right here in the chat. So I believe he is listening. But yeah, so we're going to be going down. We're going to break it down week by week and division by division. And so this week, what we're going to be going through is, I think, a lot of our favorite division. Oh, maybe not our favorite division, but it's a division I know that George loves. And you guys know how I feel about my man, Josh Allen. So it's also a division that I love because he's going to be dominating that division for a long time. But we're going to go ahead and kick it off with George. We're going to let George talk about his Dolphins. Who do we got on that team? Who are we looking at on this team that we think is going to be at all a fantasy factor on, in your opinion there, George?
So there's only 3 players. I'm going to look at this as a 1 quarterback league. Okay. If you're super flex, okay, Tua becomes important. But for the most part, most leagues are single quarterback leagues, believe it or not. I'm not trusting anybody in that Dolphins backfield. Edmonds, Mostert, and Michelle, they all have individual specific roles. Michelle's going to be their short yardage, between the tackles grinder. Mostert, if he's healthy, you know, he's a hell of a talent. He's super, super fast. Same thing with Edmonds. Edmonds is the best pass catching back of the three. But as far as fantasy goes, like these guys are just going to cannibalize each other as long as all three of them are healthy. So I would look at this running back room much like the New England one. Stay away. Just stay away. As far as wide receivers, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, those are going to be the two wide receivers that you're going to want on your fantasy team. Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, he's still a top 7 wide receiver in the NFL. He's got the one thing that you just cannot teach, and that's speed. So he could take a short pass, and everybody thinks Tyreek Hill catches all these 50-yard bombs from Patrick Mahomes last year, and that's where his fantasy value was. Well, that's not true, to be honest. Like a lot of his catches from Patrick Mahomes were under 10 yards. The problem is Tyreek Hill is so freaking fast that once he gets the ball in his hands, 2 steps and he's gone. That's where a lot of his big plays were.
Yeah, I think that changed last year too. I think you're absolutely right. I feel like before last year, he was a little more bomb, home run or nothing, a little more, a better version of Deshaun Jackson back in his day. But I feel like to your point, George, they leaned on him in a different way last year. Yeah,
he's a huge yak. And if you're not familiar with yak, it's yards after catch. He's a huge yak wide receiver. And then,
it's also a giant tundra animal.
I mean, listen, I was hoping the Dolphins actually signed Tyrann Mathieu because I was going to start calling them the zoo because then we would have had a honey badger, we'd have had a cheetah, and we'd have had a penguin. Jalen Waddle, rookie last year, he set the NFL record for most receptions by a rookie in a NFL season. And I don't want to hear any bullcrap about, well, he did it in 17 games. He missed a game. So he actually set it in 16 games. I'm not sure why there's a moose on there. Oh, yak. It's a yak. Gotcha. So Jalen Waddle, while I expect his role to increase, I don't expect to see a whole lot of just real short passes to him, quick passes to him. I think that will still be a part of his game, but he's another burner. He's going to be another yak guy, both him and Tyreek Hill. And Jalen Waddle now has somebody that he's already kind of like took his game and was steering it towards the way Tyreek Hill plays. Now he gets to watch him in practice, gets to see how he does the film breakdown, how he studies film, how he preps for the games. Those are the 2 guys I'm interested in for the wide receivers. And then as our boy Nino put up there, Gesicki to the moon. Gesicki's going to be that big body that is just
he gets so many red zone targets already.
He gets so many, it's a ridiculous amount of red zone targets he gets. Now, I get he only had a couple of touchdowns last year. That will improve. This whole Dolphins offense will we brought in a new coach who is specifically gearing everything for the offense. The defense last year was not an issue. They brought back everybody on the defense. They drafted offense. They signed free agents in the offense. They traded for offense. I expect this offense to take a huge jump this year. But Gesicki, Waddle, and Hill, those are the 3 guys that I'm most interested in.
Who's their number 3 wideout, do you think, day one?
Cedric Wilson.
It is Cedric Wilson, yeah.
He'll be those. Cedric Wilson will share time in the slot with Waddle. But Cedric Wilson will be their 3rd wide receiver.
So there's an intriguing guy in Trent Sherfield right there that I feel like he could actually go in there. Now, Cedric Wilson's a guy that he's amazing when he can stay on the field. The problem is the guy can only stay on the field about 3 or 4 plays. And then he's done for the year. Those 3 or 4 plays are amazing, but he just can't stay on the field. So I think Trent Sherfield might be a guy I'm interested in getting, because I'm pretty sure you can get him on waiver wires, even in your dynasty leagues. And if you can't, shooting an easy trade for him shouldn't be too hard. I feel like this is a guy that you might want to take a look at and stash. I don't think it's going to be Preston Williams that takes that spot, but I do feel like there's going to be enough volume there to feed 3 receivers fairly easily, because I think this team's not going to be playing from behind a lot, but I feel like they're going to be playing in a lot of competitive games where they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. So for me, Chase Edmonds is also a guy that I really want to get my hands on. I think Chase Edmonds is the guy to own that backfield.
I think this team is honestly going to want to run the ball a lot. They even brought in a fullback who will make our 53-man roster, Alex Ingold. He's one of the better fullbacks in the NFL. The coach that we hired was the running game guy from the San Francisco 49ers. He was their run game coordinator. Then they promoted him to offensive coordinator. He's supposed to be the guy behind, the San Francisco running game. So I think that's what they're going to want to do is a lot of running game. And the schemes and the guys that they're bringing in along the offensive line and with the talent that they're looking for is guys who can get out in space and block downfield. And so that even implies more of the run game. So, like I said, I don't like any of the running backs personally. I don't want to trust any of them. But I think Miami is going to end up running the ball a lot more than people actually believe.
Yeah, I love the Dolphins fantasy-wise this year. I'm a Giants fan. I don't give a fuck about the AFC East in general. I have no skin in the game. Certainly not talking in wheeze. But first of all, from a matchup perspective, like I love the idea, and maybe it's more DFS than league, but I love the idea of Tua when they're playing Buffalo. He's going to throw for 400 yards, 2-3 touchdowns, 2-3 interceptions. God knows what else. Don't care if he wins the game or not. So I think the Dolphins are going to have some matchups where fantasy-wise you can really lean on that passing game. I think to George's point, they've got so many talented guys in that backfield. They all do different things, but I love Chase Edmonds. He's not your number one fantasy running back, obviously, on your roster. But if you're in a PPR and you can put Edmonds out there as your number 3, and then once Mostert gets hurt, right? Like, let's think about this 5 weeks in instead of week 1 or week 2. Once a couple of these guys drop like flies, whether it's Edmonds, he's going to be featured for a few weeks. Let's talk about the wideouts. Once somebody gets hurt, all of a sudden, Cedric Wilson's going to be relevant. Sherford to Mike's point, maybe also. So I really like them from a fantasy perspective, and I hate the Dolphins. The Dolphins are one of those teams where I would never bet $1 on them to do anything until they show me, kind of like the Raiders. But I'm excited for them fantasy wise. I was a big Mostert and Edmonds fan going into last year's draft. Edmonds, I think we would say panned out. Mostert obviously didn't because of the injury, but I'm excited. I don't know how many wins they're going to put up on the board by the end of the year, but I do think they're going to be as relevant fantasy-wise as the Dolphins have been in quite a long time.
Yeah, I have the Dolphins, and I know we spent way more time than anybody wanted to hear us talk about the Dolphins. Outside of me, I'll talk about them all day long. But I'm realistic. I've only got us pegged in for 16 wins. So I'm just kidding. I've got us at 11 wins. I think 11 wins is reasonable for this team.
So wild card?
Yeah. I have to give the division to the Bills until we beat them. Like I don't care what anybody says. The Bills have one of the better teams in not just the AFC, but in the entire league. And they've beaten us like 7 times in a row or 8 times in a row. So until you go out and you punch the bully in the mouth, the bully's just going to sit there and bully you. So until the Dolphins show some life, I've got to give it to the Bills.
Does anybody want to take Rich up on his bathroom board bet that Hill doesn't finish in the top 7? Nino thinks that's a hot
top
take.
7 for what?
It's top 7 wide receiver in PPR.
But scoring points, fantasy.
I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take that.
I'm with you, Rich. I don't think he can do it either. I think that there's a huge drop off when you're talking about Mahomes to Tua. I think that Tyreek Hill can do it just fine, but I don't think that he's going to get the volume that we need. And Nino did bring up Izu Kanama. I just like to call him Eric Easy. He's a yak monster. He really is. I'm curious to see how he's going to fit in. And I think, like I said, when you got guys like Cedric Wilson out there as your wide receiver 3 on 3 wide receiver looks, he's not going to be out there very long. So I think that's another guy.
Well, Mike, I need to correct you on that. Cedric Wilson has played in 16 games the last 2 seasons.
Really?
Yes. So in 2019, he played in 6 games. And then 2020, he played in 16, and 2021, he played in all 16.
Well,
yeah, I think you're thinking of Preston Williams.
Amount of snaps, though. What are we talking? 15, 20 snaps a week?
Well, I mean, he was kind of buried behind CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Gallup. So, yeah. But no, I think you're thinking of Preston Williams, who if you were thinking of Preston Williams, you were 100% correct. That dude just can't stay
I swear I was thinking about Cedric Wilson. That's crazy. He's played 2 full seasons. He was a deep sleeper of mine quite a few back, but I didn't know he was deep sleeping on that bench. So we got
there we go. Patriots.
We got
look at that.
Mac at quarterback. We got Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, James White still around somehow. Pierre Strong Jr. at running back, which threw a loop into everybody's brains as far as what this team was going. And then we got the receivers. We got Bourne, Myers, Aguilar, Parker, N'Keal Harry is still there at wide receiver, and then Johnny and Hunter at the tight end position. Joe, who are you? This is kind of up in your neck of the woods. Who are you excited about on this squad right here? Because I'm having a tough time finding anybody that I really want to get my hands on right here outside of Kendrick Bourne. I do like Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah. So if we could go 15 minutes on the Dolphins fantasy outlook for this year, I think you got to divide that by like 13. And that should put us at about $130 for the Patriots.
I feel that's fair.
There should be some reasons to be excited about the backfield, but the problem is we've all learned that, Billy B's going to screw around with us. I don't know. At this point, it feels like on purpose to make it so those guys lose value fantasy-wise. That being said, you think Damian Harris should at least start as, somebody's flex. I would think I would feel happy with him as maybe my flex. He'll probably be drafted as a number 2 running back, but I don't like him from a PPR perspective. I think they're absolutely unplayable from a wide receiver perspective. If you're talking about a typical league, week 3, your standard 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, and a flex, I don't think there's any pass catcher on this list right now that you would be excited to have in one of those top 5, one of those 5 starting lineup positions right now.
I think you could probably get away with Jacoby Myers in your flex. He's not going to get you a touchdown, most likely. But he's going to go out there and he'll get you
6 for 60.
In PPR. He'll get you 6 for 60.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what I saw out of Mac and Kendrick Bourne at the end of last year makes me a little bit excited about to see what I can't see out of Kendrick Bourne. But I completely agree, and I mean I'm with you too. I don't really have anything else to say. I mean I'm really high on Kendrick Bourne this year, and that's it. When they drafted Pierre Strong, I was out. I was out on Damian Harris. I was out on Ramondre Stevenson. I still love. See, look at that. Yeah, Bourne 14 yards per reception.
And he's good in the red zone too.
He was looking really, really good there at the end. But so that's the only guy I'm kind of excited about a little bit on Hunter Henry because he was seeming to get those red zone looks when they were needing them. And one thing Bill can do is he can score. He'll be able to take this menagerie of crap and make it somehow viable and be enough of a thorn in probably both of our sides, George, in this division.
Well, so the one thing we're going to learn about the Patriots this year is how good they really are or if they're in decline. If you look at the players they've lost on their team, like they lost one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL in J.C. Jackson, did not replace him. They lost, I think, and Nino's a Patriots fan. He's watching. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. You guys lost 2 starting linebackers.
Yep.
You guys lost probably one of the top offensive.
I believe left.
Yeah, Kyle Van Noy left. Leader. Yep. You guys lost. You traded away one of your guards who was like the top young guards in the NFL you traded him away to Tampa for chicken scraps. You lost your offensive coordinator. Your offensive coordinator right now is Matt Patricia, who used to be your defensive coordinator, who is now the first-year offensive coordinator.
And they took Joe Judge back.
Yeah, and they brought Joe Judge back. I'm out on this Patriots team. I don't think they're going to be very good. I don't think they're going to finish with a record above 500.
What was their record last year?
They made the playoffs last year. They won. I think they were 10-7 or something like that. 10-8.
They won one game. Made it to the playoffs last year.
They did make the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year. I think they're the 3rd best team in the AFC East. And I don't think they're going to be above 500. I think they're better than the Jets. But Devontae Parker, they traded a future 3rd for Devontae Parker, but he's only going to give you 6-7 games. Look at his track record. There's only 1 year he's ever been completely healthy for the whole season. That was his best season, and that was also his contract year. It's crazy. Nino says they're going to have 9 wins this year. I don't see that, brother. I'm sorry. I think you guys are going to get 7.
George, you're not. Let me quick question for George though, because Dolphin fan. So because
Dolphins fan from New England. I was born in Massachusetts. My whole
I'm born and bred in
New England.
Massachusetts myself, and I'm a Giants fan. You're not high on Tua, but you think they're going to be better than the Patriots.
I do. They're better weapons on the offense for starters.
Oh no!
If you look at what the New England did last year, they had a dominant offensive line that took a hit. They ran the ball and they played defense. They didn't allow Mac Jones to go out there and win games. Any games Mac Jones had to go out and win, they couldn't. I mean, we're talking about a guy who threw 4 passes in one game. That's how much they trust.
It's more about your Tua thing. It's interesting to me that you're not, unless I missed, you're not high on Tua, but you think they'll be better than the Patriots, even with Tua not being very good.
So so I think if you would have flipped Tua and Mac Jones last year, I think the Dolphins would have won 1 game less than what they did with Tua. But I think the Patriots would have won 3 games more than what they did with Tua. I'm not very high on Mac Jones. I think he's a sorry, I gotta pull this up. I think thank you. I think Tua has gotten a bad rap his first 2 years. He's coming off a major hip injury, like almost ended his career. If you look at the coaching staff that they had in Miami with Brian Flores, Brian Flores did not want Tua on the team. He did everything possible to sabotage this guy. Did not address the offense at all. The only weapon they ever gave him was Jalen Waddle. We had the worst run game almost in the history of the NFL. I mean, it was atrocious. Everything that Tua didn't get, Mac Jones has been getting in New England. So I think if you would have switched the 2 quarterbacks, New England, I think the quarterback situation, Tua is a lot better than Mac Jones.
I like it. I think Tua is better than Mac Jones. I think they're almost close on the same kind of tier as far as quarterbacks go to me. And this year will be a huge deciding factor for Tua for me. I think Mac Jones, I can wait till next year to see kind of what they do. But boy, it does look like they're shooting themselves in the foot there in New England. And maybe it's like I said, maybe Bill Belichick just wants to show how good of a coach he really, really is. The next team we got Jets. We got the Jets. Wilson at the quarterback. We got Breece Hall leading off the way on the depth chart already over Michael Carter at running back. Then we got Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson as your starting receivers. Then we got Braxton Berrios and Denzel Mims as their backups in the wide receiver department. Then we got Uzma and Conklin. Like, this team made a lot of good changes, man. I'm kind of excited to see what this Jets offense can do, especially like people like, I don't really mind going and grabbing me some Michael Carter. I don't think Michael Carter is going to be a guy that really gets drafted very, very heavily. I think you're probably going to be able to get him 16th, 17th round if we're talking about redraft. And I feel like if I get him in there, he's not going to be like this. He's not going to be a running back 1, but I feel like he's going to be a fantastic running back 3, good flex position guy towards the middle and the end of the season. Because I feel like Breece Hall might just take a little bit to get acclimated to the NFL. And I think they're going to be able to spell him with Michael Carter, who was doing really, really good at the end of last season. What about you guys? Is there anybody on this team that we feel like, because I feel like Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson is going to be a nasty 1-2 punch. And Uzma is a diamond, man. Uzma's got a great set of hands. He's good at separation. He can get those touchdowns. I feel like he's going to be a big red zone guy. I don't think Conklin's going to be too much of a threat in that department. What about you guys? Who are you excited about on this team? Who are we grabbing?
Go ahead, Joe.
I think Uzoma is probably my if they haven't progressed at quarterback, he's going to be the security blanket, and he's probably going to be way too heavily relied on if they can't really get the ball downfield. So I love him from a PPR perspective. He's probably the only guy in that box, in that list, that I'd be excited to look at on my roster at the end of draft night right now. But, this is a Luke Wilson thing. What are we doing? Is he taking the next step, or is he not? If he is, then the Berrios and the Mims and the Corey Davises, they should all take a step up in value. But if he's going to stay, if he's going to stay parallel to where he was last year or decrease, then they're going to be fantasy inept.
Yeah.
the Patriots.
I tend to agree. I think a lot of this is going to rely on Zach Wilson.
I said Luke Wilson, Jesus Christ.
We were just going to let it go. We weren't even going to address it. I think it all. Yeah, I agree. I agree. He is not this year. He ain't going to be fantasy relevant, but give him 2 years. I love this kid, Jeremy Ruckert from the Jets, the rookie that they drafted at tight end. One of the most complete tight ends in this draft. The kid can block, he can catch, he can do it all. So he's going to get on the field. But a lot of this does rely on Zach Wilson. If he hits that sophomore slump, it's going to be trouble. I like the fact that the Jets went out and they got him Breece Hall. I think Michael Carter, Breece Hall are going to be a heck of a 1-2 punch. I look at this situation as the Marlon Mack, Jonathan Taylor situation from a few years ago, where coming in, we kind of were expecting Marlon Mack to get the go-ahead to start, but as the season progressed, it was going to be slowly turned over to JT. I see the same thing here with Michael Carter, Breece Hall. I think Carter, he's shown that he's a good running back. So I think the coaching staff will trust him more to start the season. And then as the season progresses and Breece Hall accumulates to the NFL and gets used to the speed and whatnot, understands the playbook, understands blocking assignments and all that, I think he'll come in and he's going to be a hell of a running back. I'm kind of upset the Jets actually had a competent draft this year. As far as the wide receivers, I like more. Garrett Wilson, I like him as a prospect. I think he's not going to come in and light the NFL on fire, I don't think. The biggest thing with Moore is getting that the familiarity with Wilson. I believe last year when Elijah Moore took off and having those great games, I believe Zach Wilson was not starting at quarterback at the time. I believe he was injured, and it was Joe Flacco and God, is it Mike White was the two quarterbacks.
Magic Mike.
So I want to see how that chemistry that they should have been working together this offseason. I want to see how that goes. Garrett Wilson, like I said, I like the kid. Corey Davis, I've never really been high on him. I think he'll start the season as the wide receiver 2 on this team. Berrios and Mims, whatever, they have roles, but they're nothing to get excited about. And then I do believe Uzomah, as Nino properly said, is a gem, highly underrated.
While it's a dynasty diamond.
Yep,
that's not a gem. That's a dynasty diamond right there.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. The dynasty diamond. I like that call. I do like Jeremy Ruckert. I think the kid is eventually going to be really, really good. It's going to take tight ends time. It's the NFL. They take time.
And I can see this take being true, but Zach Wilson will take the biggest leap out of the 21 quarterbacks. That's a hot take. But man, where you see him start it's really the only place to go is up for Zach Wilson. So he has a lot to prove this year. We will see if the weapons that they put around him are going to be enough to get the job done. And now we're going to talk about my favorite team in this division, the Bills, baby. Allen at quarterback. What more do you want? I mean, we don't even have to say anything else. That's the division winner right there, right? That's possibly a Super Bowl winner.
Well, and it's the best fantasy quarterback. It's the best fantasy quarterback.
He is so good, man. And I mean, so George knows I was on Josh Allen. People were making fun of me all the time.
I was one of them, Mike. And every chance I get, I give you your props for Josh Allen. Every single chance I get. Think
he was going to be this good. I had him at a pretty high plateau. But dude, he is just he's leveled up 4 times since the stuff that I had the expectations of, and I had pie in my eyes about this guy. So man, it is really cool to see him. I found out today that the Buffalo Bills have a group that hops on a bus and they drive all the way to Wyoming and go to a Laramie game. It's their Bills Mafia Support UW. It's like a foundation, I guess, but they just go there because that's who gave him Josh Allen. So they just go pay homage to it. They fill up the whole entire Wyoming stadium, man. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Hey, Mike, if the Bills ever win a Super Bowl, they're going to put a statue of Josh. And Josh Allen's the quarterback.
Yeah.
They're going to put a statue of Josh Allen outside that stadium.
It's just such a great fan base. It's just the best freaking fan base.
Absolutely. What's so great about them, it's not even like Bills Mafia. It's not even the fact that they're crazy enough to jump through tables. But if you interact with Bills fans, They're not cocky. They're not jerks. They're not assholes. Like
they're not Cowboy fans.
Yeah, or Eagles fans or anything like that.
Right.
Like they're actually pretty chill fans, and that's coming from a Dolphins fan who. Listen, I'm getting tired of being bullied by these guys.
What's
but
that golf clap you do?
The 2-finger golf clap.
So we'll break down the rest of this depth chart. At the running back, we got Singletary, Cook, and Moss. It's crazy to see Cook took a step ahead of Moss. Singletary still leading the way there. At the wide receiver position, we got Diggs. We got Gabe, one-hit wonder Davis, according to Nino. Jamison Crowder, Khalil Shakir, and Isaiah McKenzie at the wide receiver spot. And then we got Dawson Knox and O.J. Howard at tight end. Is there anybody in this menagerie too? I mean, you know how I feel about Allen. I love me some Allen, but the rest of this, it leads me a little bit sketchy, a little bit scared. I don't know if there's a lot of guys I'm excited about here.
You got to be excited about Diggs, right? Like he's still one of the better wide receivers in the NFL.
Yep, Diggs is steady Eddie. If you're going to get him in the first couple of rounds, you're going to be a happy guy. You got Diggs. He's gonna gift you that 14 to 16. But last year he just didn't seem like he was putting the biscuit in the basket enough for me to. And I agree with whoever said that. Our Facebook user Crowder is the guy for me.
If he can stay healthy, that's big.
I was just getting ready to bring him up. Like I was going to say, people are going to remember that 4-touchdown game by Gabe Davis last year, and they're going to overdraft him like crazy. And the guy that I would rather take is Jamison Crowder. Like, give me the big slot guy. Give me the PPR guy. He's going to go out. He'll get you 6 for 60 and possibly a touchdown. He's so freaking good. He's underrated as hell.
I agree with that.
My pitch for Jamison Crowder is look how Josh Allen treated Cole Beasley. Yep. You know, Cole Beasley was fantasy relevant. Jamison Crowder's like Cole Beasley times 10 at least. You know, I mean, like, so that's going to be. I think he's going to be a PPR monster right there. I think Jamison Crowder might be a good steal out of this draft.
My only issue with Crowder, other than his health, is that McKenzie, I think, should take the next step too.
Isaiah McKenzie's a bad man.
A little bit there. But my other thing too is, and I like Crowder a lot. I do. I really believe he's underrated. And if he stays healthy, he will be fantasy relevant. But Gabe Davis, and he probably will get drafted too high because people have a short-term memory. And the last thing we remember about him is a monster playoff game. But I love him getting the opportunity as the legit number 2 there, because he has been phenomenal in limited snaps, limited targets, and he's been really good in the red zone on a team with Diggs, on a team with Knox, who got really good in the red zone, on a team with Josh Allen, who runs the ball in a lot when they're in short yardage situations in the red zone, multiple running backs, and Davis really shined in the red zone, and that was with very limited playing time. So I am excited about Davis. I don't want him to be my number 2 fantasy wideout week 1, but I'm super psyched to see how he progresses. But I do think Crowder was a great under-the-radar pickup by them.
Yeah, Nino pointed out that he says he's limited 8.8 yards per – supposed to be yards per reception last year. I want to do 2 things. One, I want to point out the fact that his quarterback was Zach Wilson, not Josh Allen. Okay? And then the second thing I want to point out, that was the lowest yards per reception of his career. In 2020, it was almost 12 yards. In 2019, it was almost 11. 2018, it was 13, then 12, then 13, then 10. Like, this dude had one down year because he played for the freaking Jets. All right, he's not as bad as those numbers were last year. It's just he was on a very bad team with a rookie quarterback who wasn't even healthy the whole year.
I tend to agree, and plus he got injured last year too, fairly early, and so he only got that early sample size of last year. I do agree, though. That is something to kind of keep an eye out for. And as much Isaiah McKenzie as I own in Dynasty, Joe, I hope you're right, because, God, I need that guy to take a step up. I feel like he's probably the second best receiver on this list right here. We just haven't got to see that yet. Let's talk one more thing here, and we'll go ahead and get going and let the guys come on. They're going to be talking about all the schedules. I know Nate's coming on here shortly to talk about that. O.J. Howard, are we fantasy relevant now?
Only if Dawson Knox gets hurt. Yeah. So I'm not like Dawson Knox is for me. He's one of those tight ends where if you don't draft one early, you take Dawson Knox late. I'm just like I understand Josh Allen likes to throw the ball and he likes to run the ball. This team in general wants to throw the ball. they really don't care to run the ball that much. So that's why I like Singletary doesn't really do much for me. I'd much prefer Cook. Moss, I don't know why we have him on this list. He's irrelevant. We've seen that last year. They just completely phased him out of that offense.
But let me ask you this about running back real quick with them, because this was the last thing on my mind with them. Are they Singletary was for like 2.5 years. I feel like he slept through the last 2.5 years of his career. And then all of a sudden somebody freaking woke him up halfway through last season and his numbers went way up. Do you want Singletary as your flex week 1? I don't think I do.
Nope. If I had to take a running back from this team, give me Cook, because he's clearly the pass catching back, and passes will be pass catching is for me is a lot more valuable than rushing. And I think that Cook eventually can actually over this backfield. Now he's not as good as or Delvin. He's quicker. He's got better hands than Delvin. And for a team that doesn't really want to run the ball that often, they'd much rather throw it. Give me the guy that's going to be in the backfield catching the passes.
They got Duke Johnson too.
Yep.
Yeah. Duke Johnson might make an appearance. Moss is still ahead of him on the depth chart.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's how, if Moss is ahead of you on the depth chart, I have no expectation that you're going to see the field.
I don't expect them to bring. I honestly don't expect them to start the season with Duke Johnson on their team.
Well, what about Cook, round 2?
It's going to come.
Cook. Yeah, you think Cook fights for the starting job?
Yeah, I do.
I do too. I mean, we're talking about Dalvin Cook's little brother, man. I mean, the apple usually doesn't fall too far from the tree, and we all see what Dalvin Cook did to the NFL. This guy could easily get in here. Now, I'm with George. I don't like him as a running back. I don't like the running back of the Bills because they don't really run the ball that often.
And Allen scores with his legs. That's the problem.
Yep, Allen is your running back on that team. So, I mean, give me the pass catching back, though, because he loves to outlet pass. And to me, that's a guy that you can get. And I honestly, I feel like O.J. Howard might be a guy I'm grabbing in like the 19th, 20th round here at the end of these redrafts, just in case, because, man, he's so big and he's got such great ball catching skills and things like that I just didn't feel like got utilized in Tampa Bay. And I feel like he's bigger than Dawson Knox. So, I mean, I can see it. I can see him totally taking that on.
The one thing
we got to go, but last question is, I was looking through my notes. Tell me if you guys agree with this or not. Based on this conversation, George is probably going to flip. Chase Edmonds is the best fantasy running back in the AFC East now going into the season. Then who is?
I would say is Breece Hall. Breece Hall.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I vote Edmonds. Mikey?
No.
I vote Edmonds too. I feel like Edmonds is the guy I'd feel like. So now if I'm talking dynasty, I love Breece Hall 2 years, 3 years down the road. But right now, this year, I do feel like he's right. I feel like Chase Edmonds is the guy that I'd rather have. I don't know what they're going to be doing with Michael Carter. I don't know how they're going to be utilizing Breece Hall. I don't know if Breece Hall can actually make it in the NFL, but I do know that Chase Edmonds handles the NFL like a madman. And so give me that all day long.
The problem is I think they're going to use all 3 of the running backs in Miami at the same time, along with our fullback. So it's going to be so spread out between the running backs. They're going to cannibalize each other. And I don't
plays later after Mostert and Sony Michel are out.
I don't wish for injury at all on anybody unless you do play for the Jets or the Bills or the Patriots. But if one of those Dolphins running backs do get injured, that will open the backfield up a little bit. It'll make it less crowded. So, but for the best running backs in the AFC East. Here, we'll do a quick rundown and then we'll go. And you can tell me if you guys disagree or not. Best quarterback in the AFC East, Josh Allen. Hands down. No argument from nobody. Best running back, we discussed it. I think it's Breece Hall. You guys think it's Chase Edmonds. We'll go with that. Here we go. Best wide receiver. I'm gonna go Tyreek Hill.
Mikey?
Oh, that's tough. I think Stephon Diggs has himself a year. I'm going Diggs.
I think fantasy-wise, because of why I'm going to go Diggs, I feel is a little safer there. That's a good one.
That's fine. Tight end. I'm going to – this is going to sound crazy. I'm going to go Uzomah.
That's not bad.
Uzomah's good. I like Jaceki here. I think Jazeki's going to get those red zone looks, and it just isn't going to go away. I just don't know that I am confident that Zach Wilson's going to have a lot of red zone looks. So for me, I think Jaceki for me all the way.
So here's what I heard. Nobody liked anybody on the Patriots because the Patriots suck. End the show on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
They were never even in consideration in my head. Like,
they got the best
coach. Never
coach.
even jumped in that conversation. Like, well, James White is a pretty good QPR.
No, the Patriots have the best coach. They do have the best.
What about defense, real quick, and then we got to go. Best defense, fantasy defense in the division.
Bills.
I think that might still be the Patriots, but I think that one I might give the edge to the Patriots.
I like doing this. We should do this with each division at the end, this little best of.
I like it. I like that idea. All right, guys. Well, on that note, we're going to have to hop out because we got another show coming up after the tail end of this. Remember, guys, get on there, 5-star reviews. Even if they're negative, throw us on there. Get on the Patreon. Help us out. Help us. Help you. Give us that time to get on there and get you all the answers you need. And I'm telling you, 'tis the season. You're going to want to get on there now because this is when we start real cranking in on that draft discussion. So for my guy George, for my guy Joe, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this week, and we will see you again next week on the good old Blitz.